Welcome to the Northern Business Podcast. This is a regular discussion with people in the north of England who lead businesses, employ people and have new ideas to help grow our economy. I'm Jamie Collis, I'm presenting today, and the Northern Business Podcast is produced by Recognition PR, which serves scores of companies in different sectors across the country, some of which occasionally contribute to the podcast. We're kindly sponsored by Virtue Motors PLC, one of the top automotive retailers in the UK, with a network of dealerships representing some of the world's most popular brands. In the studio today, I'm really pleased to say we have Graham Melroy, CEO of T12 Engineering, and Paul Lancaster, founder of UK Startup Week. Guys, great to have you with us. I thought today's episode, seeing as that we have Paul with us, and you're an entrepreneur yourself, Graham, that we would talk about starting a business, the sort of trials, tribulations, the excitement, the opportunities that comes from that. So let's just start off with Graham, T12 Engineering. What is it? What do you do? Let's go for that first. Get your elevator pitch in.
So we're an engineering consultancy, predominantly in the offshore industry for energy. We started up 5 years ago. Kitchen table, I guess, like a lot of companies did 5 years ago in COVID. From that, we've moved on. Now we're just about to go into our 6th year. We employ 16 people. Generally, most of them are in the northeast of England. And a lot of service companies we use as well in the area. But yeah, engineering consultancy, structural, mechanical, and all the peripheral items that do with engineering as well.
Oh, exciting stuff. Paul, give us a quick overview of what UK Startup Week is, and we'll come back to talking about it. It's upcoming for 2025.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll try and be succinct. So we basically run inspiring events for ambitious business owners and leaders. But in more detail, we run a monthly event called Platform and a big annual 5-day UK Startup Week festival. We provide consultancy as well and coaching for anyone that wants to start or grow a business, predominantly in the northeastern Teesside. But yeah, we have a business that helps other people start and grow businesses.
Fantastic. So both of you started businesses and still here today, so doing well. So Graham, what was that moment of starting a business when you sat down? So I know there's a little bit of a story about sitting around a restaurant table and stuff.
Yeah,
so tell us the story.
I guess we decided that we would start an engineering business because we thought we could do it ourselves and we could do it better or differently. And when we decided to incorporate the business, we did the usual thing. We went out for a celebration, drinks, meal and everything. And then it got around to like the name of, well, what you're going to call the company. And, you know, everyone did a bit of navel gazing. And there was a metal triangle on the table with a number 12 on it. So I just said, why don't we call it T12? So T12 Engineering is actually named after a table in a restaurant.
Fantastic.
Love it.
Fantastic. What were you doing before, Paul? Before you set up UK Startup Week as a business, were you a wage slave or?
So I spent about 25 years helping other people start and grow businesses, but in jobs. So I was paid to work for local enterprise agencies, youth enterprise schemes, government organisations. Worked for corporates as well. Worked for Sage a couple of times. Worked for British Airways as well. But all of my roles were all about advising and helping people start and grow businesses or distributing funding. And when you're hanging out with other business owners or entrepreneurs, I think you can't help but get the bug, or at least I didn't. And I was reading all the books and going to all the events, and I just thought one day I want to do that for myself, but don't quite know what I want to do yet. So it took me a long time to figure out that was, but I just kept on doing jobs where I was manoeuvring myself into positions where I could learn more skills and improve my knowledge and insights and build up my network, and then finally start my own business in 2016, basically doing everything that I enjoyed up until that point, but independently.
And for both of you, was there a sense of, like, when you walked away from that restaurant table and when you decided you were going to go your own way of, yeah, this is what I want, or was there a gulp moment going, what have I done? Is this the right thing? You've got families and all that sort of stuff, you know, it's all on you.
Yeah, there's definite financial considerations you've got to make. For the first year of T12, none of us made any money. So it was self-financed. After that, we started winning a few contracts. We started making a bit of money. We could pay ourselves a modest salary, and we still pay ourselves modest salaries now because we're investing the money back into the business. But from a point of view of like being scared, or it is what it is. It's business. You can get made redundant tomorrow without any decisions made by yourself. Whereas I think you're a lot more in control of the situation, hopefully, and you can make those considered decisions as you go. So, yeah, would I do it again? Absolutely, 100%. I'd do it again. I would say to anybody who's thinking about it, if you've got a great idea, just go for it, because you can think about it for a long time and then it's gone. Just do it. There's nothing to lose. There's no fear involved. It's just, it is what it is. Just go and do it.
I suppose there's an element, if that's what you did, of practicing what you preach when you talk to people, when you bring speakers in to talk, like Graham's just said then, just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite a big fan of straddling, like doing, like maybe having a day job and doing stuff in your spare time as well. Try and get the business going. So it's not, there's not so much pressure on you from the outset, but eventually you are going to have to commit. You're going to have to make that decision to go all in or not. So I was in a, rightly or wrongly, I did it with no savings at all. So the pressure was on. Basically, the contract that I had came to an end, and I had a decision whether to renew that contract or to finally start my own business. And I just backed myself. And I think most business owners or entrepreneurs back themselves through experience and knowledge of the market. So if you back yourself and you think you've got the contacts and understanding of where the opportunity is, yeah, you've just got to go for it.
Did you, Graham, come to it with a pot of cash that you guys had put together? How many of you put into the business? So
there was originally 6 founders in the business. That now currently there's two of those original founders left at director level. We all put 300 quid in each. That was it, and we all had laptops. But as an engineering consultancy, you don't really need a lot of startup money. It's just a case of getting out there. I think one thing that we were relatively naive at the start was the whole sales process and how you do business development. I think that's a really important thing, to understand your market and understand who you need to speak to and get yourself out there, get known. And obviously we use PR recognition now for a lot of that, and it's really helpful to us. It's just telling the story more than anything. And people buy from people at the end of the day. Agree. And 100% you make those relationships up as you go, and there's been some absolutely fantastic companies and people in the Northeast that have helped us along that way, and we've generally sort of gravitated towards the more positive people, and the negative ones we just kick them into the side of the road because they don't help in the journey. So yeah, we've got to where we've got by a bit of bootstrap, a bit of hard work, and also, you know, leaning on people that we can trust and taking advice from, you know, good people and people that have been in business for a while. So yeah, just in general, like I said before, just go for it. If you think you've got an idea, my God, just go for it. Don't wait for the government to help you out, or you know, this scheme or that scheme. Just do it. Just go ahead and do it, because everybody's capable of starting a business and making it successful. And I guess, you know, myself and Andy, the other partner in T12, have proven that over the last 5, and we're going into our 6th year now. And like I say, we're employing people. You know, hopefully that's long term, and we've got some great contracts coming up. So yeah, it's completely doable.
So do you hear that a lot, Paul, in terms of, like, you know, I'm a good plumber, I'm a good hairdresser, I'm a good engineer, but I don't know how to, you know, go out and sell my services, or I don't know how I should set my accounts up, or I don't know where is the help out there? Are those common sort of questions? Yeah,
see, I do come across that a lot. So people might be really technically brilliant, they might be good at a certain thing, but they've never had to do the sales or business development before, or the marketing before, or the HR or the accounts. So you often find people who they just love doing their little bit. So then definitely encourage people to outsource and bring in external expertise to do that. Don't try and do it all on your own. Understand why people do, because they're trying to keep the costs down, but bring in the experts who can free up your time so you can focus on the things that you enjoy doing. But every business of every size struggles with the same few things. They struggle with awareness. So that's why they need PR and marketing.
Yeah, that's really true. Yeah, that's really true.
Everyone, they struggle with generating qualified leads, and people struggle with converting those leads into sales as well. So that's something that we try and do through our events, is create opportunities for people to raise their profile at the events, we do some facilitated introductions and leverage our network, and we'll give some advice on making sales as well.
I don't know if there's sort of like this preconception about entrepreneurs that they are sort of lone wolf characters, they do it all themselves, and people look at Sugar and whether it's Elon Musk, whatever you think of him, and Jeff Bezos, all these sort of famous entrepreneurs, because they're seen as sole characters and they're the people that set up and ran their businesses, that they do it themselves. But I don't think you can you need to be able to say, that's not my skill, I need someone's help to be able to do that, so I can focus on doing what I do best.
Yeah, you definitely, well, you do need a leader, but you do need a team, or a bunch of people around you to have anything of significance. I think. But I heard a quote recently where it was like, you go around every park around the world, you'll never see a statue for a committee or a team. It's always statues for individuals. So it's usually the individual person who has the vision and the idea behind a business, but there are probably an army of people underneath them or alongside them to help them bring that idea to life.
And did you find that, from what you were saying before, I think you did, in terms of, we know what we're good at, you can go into a client, once you get through the door and say, what's your problem, we can solve it, but all the other stuff that came with it, that was probably the challenge?
It certainly is, and I think it gets better as you become more mature as a company. I'm not saying it becomes easier, but it's better because people know you more and they know who you are as a company and who you are as people. But to start off with, who are you? Will they be here in 6 months' time, sort of thing? So it is difficult, but you attend your networking events, and it's not about winning work. If you turn up at these networking events, it's about networking, and it's about, can people introduce you to other people and all that good stuff. But just in general, you have to put yourself, like this podcast, you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions that you're not used to. Engineers are introverts. They don't like doing things that puts them out there. It's just not who we are as people. It's something that you've got to do. And that is the business side of it. And you'll make lots of mistakes along the way as well. It doesn't really matter, because it's learned behavior, it's learned experience. And if you do that, then you go, well, we're not going to do that again because that didn't work, or we'll do that because that worked, and this person can get us work. So just in general, you need to speak to a lot of people. I guess my day job is business development. If someone said, well, what do you do during the day? Really, it's very difficult to pinpoint exact tasks during that day and what you're doing. You're running a business, so there's so many things to do, but there's a lot of things that you don't know yourself. Employment law, for example, is something that we had to learn to do. We had to engage HR services to help us with that. When you're employing your first employee, all these things are really important. And, accreditations like ISO 9001, for example, and being members of, manufacturing networks, engineering networks, all that stuff, you just have to chip away at everything every single day. It's like you learn something new all the time, which is good fun. It's because every day is not the same, so it's enjoyable as well.
That's what keeps it interesting.
Yeah, it is, 100%. Yeah,
never stop learning.
Sounds like you've got a great mentor potential here. When you've got spare, a couple of minutes in your day.
I think I need mentoring more than anything.
But I'm sure Paul could help with that as well. I'm sure he could do that. I was interested. You have a team working with you as well.
So actually, up until recently, it was just me. I just brought in people as and when I needed them. But then at the end of last year, I've formed a new business with a guy called Neil Stevenson. Who is he's a serial entrepreneur, angel investor, one of the most active tech investors in the Northeast.
Onyx, wasn't he?
Onyx. So he was the CEO of a company called Onyx Group, which was based down in Teesside. And then they built that and sold it and made quite a lot of money from that. And then he's gone on to be an angel investor, non-exec director, advisor, specialising in tech and digital and sales businesses. But I've known Neil for about 9 years, built up a good friendship. He's given me some great advice over the years. I've referred work to him, he's referred work to me. And then we just decided, look, let's do this properly. Let's just set up a new business to do everything I've been doing up until now, but to take it to the next level. And that's been excellent, like having him working alongside me, just extra pair of hands, taking off some of the pressure, extra.
It's good to bounce ideas off other people as well.
And we're kind of like a Venn diagram between us. We're sort of, we're complementary skill sets, but he's a lot more commercial, a lot more sales focused than I am. I'm more on the marketing slant, but I can do sales as well, and we just fit together really well.
Oh, that's really good. That's helpful. You had people you can lean on like that to ask for advice?
Yeah, so we have a sales and marketing consultant that comes in and has been giving me some coaching in terms of the sales process, how business development runs, what process we needed to put in place for our CRM, make it a bit more formalized, and that works really well. And I think you need to lean on that, and you have to understand, you've got a skill set that you bring into a business. It's not necessarily all you need. So sometimes you need coaching, sometimes you need external services, and you just have to get the balance right between the two. And I think at the moment we're in a really good position in terms of front end processes, all of our engineering processes and everything like that, and hopefully our clients appreciate we're pretty effective at what we do, and that's what we try and get across to our clients at all time. Full transparency is also important, and honesty, and the big thing is always getting paid on time, which is, a lot of people think it's going to be easy. You win your first piece of work, and then after that, you just think you're automatically going to get paid for it. Well, it doesn't always happen that way. So you've got, like, cash flow's king in any small business, and you've got to be really tight on that stuff. And if you are, and you've got a bit of reality about that, and you'll be okay. You'll be okay.
So before we come on to UK Start Week, and you can tell us about what's coming up, one thing you were talking about before was obviously starting to employ people and stuff. And I always want to touch on that point, because see, it would have been very easy for the six of you, then down to the two of you, just to carry on, working for a business, but just being a couple of guys doing the stuff. Yeah. And then you're only responsible for yourselves, really. But then suddenly you're employing people, and you've got to hold your nose and jump into the pool of employing people and that sort of responsibility. Was that something that you wanted to get to? It was always a thought, or it just got big enough that you thought, now we need to employ people?
Well, I guess engineering, it comes up a lot. There's a skill shortage in engineers. There's a lot of companies that, they're screaming out for people and they can't get the right skills and everything like that. You've got to put your money where your mouth is. You can't just moan about the fact that there's no skills in the industry and, there's nothing. So what do? You go out and you employ young engineers. And you've got to do that, because at the end of the day, the whole engineering industry needs succession, not just T12. The whole, so if we have somebody for 5-10 years or 5-6 months, they're still in the pool of engineers within the whole of the Northeast. That's important.
Yeah.
So and the employing thing, of course, because we're not going to be here forever. We have to pass our skills on if we want that industry to flourish. You've got to be part of it, and you've got to, like you say, you've got to put up or shut up. And we've put up, and we've shut up as well, and we just quietly get on with it.
No, don't shut up, go out there and talk about it. That's what we want you to do. Fantastic. No, that's great. Okay, so UK Startup Week coming up in a few months' time.
Yeah, coming up in June.
All in deep depths of planning right now. Yeah. But what can people expect? When is it, and what can people expect from the week?
Yeah, so I have to say this, despite the name, it's not just for startups, but there is a heavy focus on entrepreneurship and starting something new or developing new products and services through the event. So it's a 5-day multi-venue citywide event that's taking place in Sunderland this year between the 2nd and the 6th of June. I've done 3 events like this before, but I did them in Newcastle. And the first 2 had just over 600 people, and the last one had just over 800. So I'm aiming for about 600 people in Sunderland this year. Each day has a different theme. So day 1's called Inspiration Day. So that's celebrating local success stories of the past, present and future from the Northeast and Teesside. So keynote speakers, panel discussions, geeing people up and getting people excited about starting and growing a business here. Then days 2 to 5 are slightly different audiences. Day 2's getting started, so practical first steps to bringing ideas to life or starting a business. Day 3's funding and finance, so grants, loans, crowdfunding, angel investment, venture capital, private equity, banking, accountancy. That's a popular day. Everybody is looking for the money to start grow a business. Day 4 is growing and scaling. So sales, marketing, PR, business development, building a team, national expansion, international expansion. And then the final day, keep going or pivot, is how do you keep going? Do you keep going? How do you know when to stop and change direction? Resilience and mindset, and a bit of a look ahead at what's next for the region. So
Fantastic.
yeah, so it's a
lot in there for everyone.
There's something for everyone. Yeah, and we do tend to attract people from all over the northeast, but further afield. We've had people from Scotland, Northwest, Yorkshire, Midlands, London, international as well, and I've renamed it UK Startup because it's an event of national significance.
No, definitely. And if people want to sign up and find out where
best thing to do, if they go to ukstartupweek.com, you can find the details on there. Tickets at the minute, it's £100 for a 5-day ticket, but the ticket is going to go up to £150
Get in there quick, early bird tickets.
Yeah, and that's deliberate. We want to keep the price as low as possible to make it accessible to everyone.
That's it. £20 a day.
Exactly. But realistically, most people go to day 1 and then maybe one other day, depending on what stage they're at. But yeah, love lots of people to come along.
Excellent. Guys, thanks very much. We could talk for ages, but we'll probably get cut off. So we won't.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Just want to say, if you'd like to join us as a guest on Northern Business Podcast, feel free to get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Just want to say thanks to our producer, Alex Dryden, for putting this all together, and our technical operator, Robin Campbell, for making it happen. To finish today, we'll hear from Judith McMinn, who is CEO and founder of Northeast startup Rezon. Judith recently spoke to our regular presenter, Graham Robb, about her journey as an entrepreneur and the opportunities and challenges that face the market. So we'll hear from her in a second, but join us next time on the Northern Business Podcast. Never miss an episode. So like, rate and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Graham, it's over to you.
I'm joined by Judith McMinn, who is the founder of Rezon, based in Northeast England, a very interesting company that deals with sports injuries. Before we get into your product and how you can prevent sports injuries, particularly head injuries, tell us a bit about yourself, how you became an entrepreneur.
Graham, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. I became an accidental entrepreneur. I really had a question for 30 years, which was, why do you protect your shins and teeth in sport and not the brain? And on the basis of that, I set out to develop brain protection and ended up from the kitchen table developing what is today the world's most advanced solution to reducing brain injury in sport.
Now, you moved from that to founding your own business, a small business, a micro business even. What were the differences between working as an advisor and working at a high level with a former Prime Minister and then being a minnow, setting up your own business in the northeast of?
Well, I think, when you move from a very large organisation, you have the luxury of everything, being able to draw on people, expertise, facilities and infrastructure. And that's just not there when you start your own business. And the level of fear is so much greater. And you really have to, you move very quickly out of any sort of comfort zone. And you just have to be very clear on what you do, how you spend your time, what you prioritise, what you focus. And you learn very quickly the mistakes that you're making because you don't have the luxury of making them the second time round. So it has been very daunting. I don't think setting up a business is for everyone. I think it's actually much, much more difficult than people expect. I think people think that overnight success happens. I think it takes 10 years for overnight success. And I'm still on that journey to try and make my business some sort of a success. But it's hard work. And I think doing it without even the luxury of having a career beforehand and seeing what good and bad looks like, I have even more respect for the people who become entrepreneurs and found startups straight after university or leaving school.
Now, you obviously have got this business up and running, but there must have been a light bulb moment that said, actually, this is something I'm interested in developing a solution to. What was the thing that drew you to the issue of traumatic head injury?
Well, as I say, there was that personal quest about the question of why. Why do you not protect the brain in sport? In my own playing, but
your own playing what?
Playing hockey at school. And so there was just a very basic question in that. But I think over the last 10 years, there's been a growing awareness of brain injury in sport. That initially stemmed from the US, with the legal action against the NFL. But actually, in the last number of years, there's been a growing number of former rugby players, football, soccer players, being diagnosed with early onset dementia. And more of those stories coming out. And these stories are not just professional athletes. They are amateurs. They are women. They are young athletes. So there's really this awareness now. People don't not want to play sport. But there is a realization, in the same way we realized about other elements of society, that there's a health and safety element that needs to come in. And why would people now not start to look for brain protection? And when I went out to the market, when I started this, to look for brain protection, no such thing existed. There was scalp protection, which is a rugby head guard for cuts and scrapes, and skull protection, which is helmets to protect you from splitting your skull. But in terms of brain protection, nothing existed. And that required me really to look at, well, what are the elements required to develop a brain protection product?